Let's imagine you have 160,000 euros and want the fastest and the most expensive estate in the world. Then this one should be your choice, it seems. The Audi RS6 Avant Performance, the top of the line version of this estate. That review will today be on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to talk about the special exterior, the sporty interior, but of course also about the versatility as it's an estate. And of course we have an extensive Autobahn riding part. I know you guys love riding Autobahn, also with full speed. Let's look out for that in Autogefühl, full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! If you start with the Audi A6, then the S6 already has some stronger bumpers in the lower part. The RS6 then has even stronger bumpers here and bigger air intakes and a glossy comp structure here, so a really massive single frame grille. And then the performance version, this one has even topped it up with a little bit more horsepower. Going to talk about the engine soon. The performance version always comes with this huge quattro sign here at the lower part. I want to know from you guys, do you like that one? 4,90 m or 16'2", that's the total length of this car in the upper mid-size segment, which is, for example, fighting against the Mercedes E-Class, Jaguar XF or the BMW 5 Series. Here, of course, in each sport versions, M versions, or also the AMG versions. The rims really massive, 21-inch, and you can also get smaller ones for more comfort, depending on your choice. 21 is maybe a little bit too big, but the suspension, I can already tell you right now, is very good and can even it out. The RS6 Performance also comes with the air suspension from C-Wheel equipment. It sits 20 mm lower, but you can also get the DRC, the dynamic ride control. That is again a stiffer one without air suspension. Yeah, I mean, it's still okay, but definitely stiffer than the air suspension. If you want a more comfortable, go for the air suspension. If you want the sportier style, then pick the DRC. What else we can see here in the side profile? Of course, it's a little bit understatement besides of those huge rims. So it's basically a normal setup. Then contrasting matte mirror covers, stronger bumper in the side part, and no chrome frame around here. Also this matte frame grille. And also the windows are darkened to have a little bit more of an evil style. Besides that, it continues like it is in a normal estate version or the Avant version. And this RS version, you can only get in this one. You cannot get it as a sedan. So make free way for the last view on the total side profile. What do you think? The really spectacular part of this car is the rear, not only with this rear wing we have top mounted here, RS6 logo, and then this huge diffuser, and we also have this dynamic package which unleashes a car to a total speed of 305 kilometers an hour, and that is, I think, over 10,000 euros combined with ceramic brakes as well. And then we also got this huge performance exhaust. It's not that rear one, there are two inside if you look very closely, but all of those features you see here already make the car even more expensive. So, whereas in normal A6 you can easily get also for 50,000 euros, taking German prices as a reference, the RS6 about 110,000, and then the RS6 Performance even a little bit more. And then with every extra we have here on this car, even 160,000 euros. That's really exaggerated to me, but that's what they want to show. That's the maximum we can offer. So this is the car key, and it's a nicer car key than we have in the lower segments of the Audi, also with the RS logo here. This one here is really worthy and also slim that it fits in your jacket and so. You also have the keyless entry, you already heard it. Just when I put my hand in here, the car is unlocked. And then the solid door handle with a good closing sound, they really pay attention to that. Let's look at the inside of the doors, and here in the RS6 version we got the carbon fiber style, which of course fits to a racing style. This one is also the Audi exclusive interior. I do not advise this one because it's really like 6,000 euros extra, something like that, and then you got leather with red contrast stitches here. The basic interior will do just fine. You can save the money for that. What you can already see here is that we got the Bang & Olufsen sound system. Very nice detail is that it feels very well, this true metal surface, and it will also give you a crystal clear sound. But again, you know, this is the top premium sound system. You also have to pay extra then. Then the interior, as I said, the Audi exclusive package means animal skin on the seats. We usually do not want that. It comes automatically with the RS6 in general, not with those special seats here. This is the exclusive package, but you know, we always got the animal skin seats with the RS6. You can, for example, also have Alcantara seats on the inside. You should go for this option then as well. My favorite is this rather compact steering wheel. It has a flattened end and also a perforated structure, again with red contrast. And what you already see, we got more contrast here with those carbon fiber elements, and the whole interior is held rather in black. Let's get inside, and well, I like the structure of the seats, you know, this quilting of the seats, because you have to get used to it. But you know, the feeling of the structure is kind of nice on long term, because it gives you maybe some more air or something like that. It's really a sporty seating position because the RS6 sits 20 millimeters lower. The performance version, again, well, it gives you a little bit more horsepower, but there's nothing really so much different than in the interior if you compare to the normal RS6 non-performance version. It's still, you know, a basic setup we know from the A6, and here again, as you sit a little bit lower, sportier cockpit, but you already got, you know, a good overview still, because it's still an upper mid-size segment car, and that's an advantage if you compare it to really true sports cars. And that also accounts for the seating position. It's relatively normal and thus also comfortable on long-term rides. Here with the sporty seats, of course, you got a little bit more shoulder support. That's also quite nice, especially if you're a taller driver. Cockpit overview, as I've already mentioned, this is more like, you know, the not very old Audi cockpit, but you know, it's just a little bit different than we've seen, for example, in the all-new A4 or in the all-new Q7. So this one has, you know, some, you know, rather bulky elements here. It's still a great and elegant style, no question, but you see a difference to the very new ones. For example, also the AC unit is all from a good quality with this diamond knurling here around the buttons. Real metal is used and also a nice clicking sound. But the newer ones have an even better clicking sound because they have developed this in the Audi laboratory, and also this little bit placed higher than the climate unit, for example. So the interior has been worked on with the newer models, but I think this one here still has a, you know, timeless, elegant style, and I feel also very much at home with it. Also, what is nice, when I'm putting the start-stop button, this one here, the screen, can still be retracted, and Audi says hardly anyone used it. Every one of our customers just left it open. But we here at Autogefühl got the feedback that, oh, A4, for example, or Q7, you cannot retract it anymore. That's bad. So I'm not sure if they listen to enough customers there in this case. I think it's a nice system, but the problem is it's also very expensive because you need some small electric motors for that one inside here. And that's, of course, you know, even more cost. But then you can say it's an expensive car anyway. Does it really make such a difference? Here also nicely aligned, then again, when it's flipped upside. And if you say, okay, that really annoys me, then you can always flip it down again, also with a special button. We got racing instruments. We'll soon go into the detail there. We will also show you the details of the infotainment system. You control it with a central knob down here. Only when you just turn the knob, you can control it right here, zoom in and out also of the GPS. And you also got a touchpad where you can write numbers, and we will soon show you that one in the details and in the infotainment screen. So that's the basic cockpit overview. Let's go into the details. Steering wheel is really one of my favorite ones. Well, even better if it also had an Alcantara cover, but the form has the right size with the flattened end. You can also adjust it in height electronically and also get it more towards you. That's always good also to have good grip and safety feeling, and high class shifting pedals available for the automatic converter gearbox. Instruments, pretty classic layout. Left RPM, and you can also use it. Brum brum. And right speed, and in the middle one you can also mount the GPS. The GPS is included. Yeah, even in the highest trim level card, often it is not. Here it is. Or also like phone info or the digital speedometer. Let's look at some details here. The glove box, for example, slides down smoothly, and wow, there's really reasonable space in the glove box. I didn't expect that. Then the middle AC unit, as I said, it's nice design with cold and warm, and also a nice clicking sound, even if it's not the best clicking sound as they have right now. It would be enough clicking for me though. Deactivate or activate the AC, or the seat heating is possible here. Then the middle console, also covered with the carbon layer. Also those details here work perfectly always with sliding up and down. Space maybe for your garage, basement garage beeper. Converter gearbox, automatic gearbox is included here. There's one touchpad then. You could, for example, write an address like a T or a K. I will soon show you that in the infotainment system. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are some hotkeys, for example, hitting different radio stations or something like that. But you can also adjust them to whatever function you want to use. And the classic MMI knob with some shortcuts that always the menu, which is like on the top parts, can be activated, or you just go back all the time. And for the sound right here. And what else here? You see, this by the way nice detailed. Also here, this is just plastic, but it's not hard plastic. It's a little bit softened up. Well done. Cover for the beverage holders, and they are adaptive. I like it that it fits for different bottles and also holds the bottles tight, especially when you're around driving with a lot of G-force. Then this is always good to test the build quality. You see, you lift up this armrest and try to move it sidewards, and it's really fixed. And in cheap build qualities, you can move it like here and here to both sides. Here, of course, good solid build quality. Then 2 USB slots here, and you see the symbol. That means you can charge your phone if your phone is suitable for that without a cable, so that is included in here, or also with the 12-volt power supply. I usually use the USB slot to connect the phone, and then you can also have this split in the armrest. You close it and use another button at the lower part, and you have more space right here for your purse or whatever. And that's the infotainment system. This is the basic menu. You switch it around with the central MMI stick. No touch available. Might be better, especially for the co-driver. If touch would be with the phone, you connect via Bluetooth. No Apple CarPlay or whatsoever available here for this model. That is maybe next year or something like that, due to renewal for the whole model lineup. The GPS, we've already shown you that in the central screen, but here again with the total overview, we're overall satisfied with the GPS. It's a good visualization, especially here in this satellite mode. You can really see a lot of things. It could react a little faster, but overall it's one of the better systems, definitely. In media, you can also play with USB, iPod, iPhone connection, for example. And interesting is changing the tone, for example, is when I have some Bluetooth music and go to the surround in the Bang & Olufsen system, you can probably even hear that on camera. When I have the surround on minimum, the music really comes from the front just. And when I put it to the maximum then, I really get surround sound that's really, wow, crystal clear and nice. So if you're a music lover, it's worth to go for that. And what else is important? If you go to this car menu, you have the Audi Drive Select. We'll show you the difference between Comfort, Auto and Dynamic mode, and you can also set the individual modes if you like, for example, then you can see, you can adjust how the gearbox, the throttle input is working, also what about the suspension and so on. Let's check the rear compartment, and that's the big advantage of this very sports car. It has some space in the rear and you can still use it for your family. And you see there's enough knee space left here in front of my knees, although I'm 1.86 m tall or 6'1" for everyone who is not subscribing Autogefühl yet. And this one here does not have a panoramic roof, and therefore we have even more space above my head. So even if you're way taller than me, that still works here with a great Alcantara ceiling. Also got those red belts here in the rear, but that's again part of the exclusive package, and you could also live without it. But I'm sometimes question myself, does it really have to be so expensive to put red seat belts and not black ones? I don't know. So a comfortable seating position here in the rear. You also got it in a sports car style with a little bit more shoulder support, so it's also playing with some emotional details. Overall, I feel very comfortable in here. We also got 2 single seats. I can show you that when I move to the side. Well, the other seat here is now put way below, but here you can see now in the middle part there's just some storage space, and there's no third seat. And then you can also flip down this huge armrest, really big, and then there's also place for placing some bottles right here and some more storage, or also the first aid kit. Let's hope you will never have to use it. So what you can also get is this 4-zone AC. You can also have controls in the rear, even for the seat heating. And it's probably also the sports car, or like the 600 horsepower car with the biggest loading area. Electric hatch here, great processing quality also with the cover in the rear here, very nice. That's not from the car, by the way, that's from the train in the background. just so you know, don't wonder. Here you can have a spare tire, you can order that extra. Here there's just this compressor to repair the tire. Then you can use different fixation systems. You also see this cover here, a clean solution with rails on both sides. This has been lifted up automatically with the rear hatch, but you can also remove it if you like. And here, for example, you can adjust this system here on both sides, that you can, separate the compartment. That's a good system. I mean, you have to use it if you're driving that fast with the vehicle. And you can also flip the seats from here, release them. And that's a very good solution like that. And there you can see how you can use the space in full glory. However, one thing to criticize, especially with the Volkswagen Corporation cars, didn't have it, for example, with Mercedes, also with Hyundai. I think the sensitivity of those electric rear hatches is not enough. You see, come on. It has to be, more sensitive, that especially for child safety. I, always criticize it, especially also with Audi and VW. I think they really have to work on that. Mercedes can also ensure that the rear hatch is always closing, but still is very sensitive. The main part of this car is the well-designed V8 engine bi-turbo. Also nice engine design with the 3D logo Audi and also the RS. This one here, whereas normal RS6 version gives you 560 horsepower, here tuned to even more, 605 horsepower. And that reduces the 0 to 100 or kilometers or 0 to 60 miles an hour figure from 3.9 to 3.7 seconds. Yeah, it's not much, but sometimes they just top it up to have even more margin on the car. And also impressive, 0 to 200 kilometers an hour is just about 12 seconds. And that's usually a figure for 0 to 100 for a usual car. driving part. Let's kick this V8. Brum, 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 brum. We'll have city driving. Yes, this is also, main part of your daily driving, of course, and of course we'll have an extended Autobahn part right here today for you. I see the head-up display, clear view on the speed, and also big digital speedometer in the middle that you can also watch with our secondary camera. I'll start in the comfort riding mode. Of course, the suspension here is way stiffer than in the normal models, and I immediately feel that. And we also got those 21-inch rims mounted. Strip view. And those ones, of course, yeah, well, you lose a little bit of comfort with them. But the main difference really makes this this stiffer, lower suspension, of course. So let's get here rolling. Traffic will also be part of your riding life. I can promise you we can really let loose with this car also on the Autobahn. What you realize here when city driving already is that you really sit lower, and especially when you're like a tall driver and have the seat in a very low position, you see, in a low racing car. And that's different with the normal A6. Here with the RS6, you really then feel a difference that you are more in this racing style position. Strange. The cover for the glasses box was still opened. Well, what is nice already with city driving is that this engine is, of course, so sovereign. V8, 605 horsepower, and in the city you can drive it calmly. So of course you have this sporty exhaust, yes, definitely. But at the moment you hardly hear anything. 50 kilometers an hour is our ride. And we're in the comfort mode still. However, when I'm here now in a corner, I immediately feel there's no tilting of the car at all. So it's kept really firm on the road. But still, as long as the roads are okay, I don't mind driving it in everyday life. However, here, if I already changed to the dynamic mode, shift the gear down, here with converter gearbox, so no dual clutch transmission in here, classic converter gearbox, because we have so high Newton meter figures of torque that Audi says, okay, maybe a converter gearbox does a better job here than for this power the engine has. Here in the dynamic mode, also as long as you keep it pretty simple with the throttle, it's also not such a difference. Here when I'm running over some bumps in the road or entries, covers for the sewage system, bam bam, then I hear it. And it's a little bit better when I'm in the comfort mode, because this suspension here also reacts in an adaptive way. Also again with the gears, the ride is a little bit calmer. Yeah, especially when I run over those sewage system covers, then you feel the difference. But it's, we have experienced bigger differences for the suspension from the comfort to the dynamic mode. This car is also equipped with the dynamic package, which is I think 13,000 euros, and unlocks the top speed, even the higher figures and stuff, and optimizes everything for a sporty ride. Of course, the extra in price is not really realistic at all. So I'll switch to dynamic mode, because sometimes you think about, I'm a little bit tired, waiting at the red traffic light. Let's wake up myself, maybe everyone else. Whoa, that's 50. It's really like one blip of the throttle, and it's 0 to 50 kilometers. Wow, that's it's really crazy. And the nice thing is also, as we have the all-wheel drive here, the quattro all-wheel drive system, which here has a little bit rear bias. So there's not one quattro all-wheel drive system for the whole Audi model range. The smaller Audi models are more front wheel dominant. They have kind of this front plus rear wheel. The bigger models like this one here, the A6, this is a different quattro system. So I think they have over like 3, 4 or 5 different quattro systems which are working in a different way. And here we got the rear wheel bias a little bit. Same, for example, in the Porsche already. And it's still quite even still with the acceleration, and therefore we also have a very harmonic acceleration when all 4 wheels are driven, and that also makes a good ride for the co-drivers. So the co-driver is not like, of course the G-forces are applied, no questions. But if you just, for example, if you have an electric drive, which is very brutal really for the Tesla Model X, for example, because you don't hear anything, or if you just have rear-wheel drive, it's again a little bit more aggressive than here with the all-wheel drive, where we have the very harmonic acceleration, which is very fast, but evened out. Let's take it that way. So the main difference for city riding is really that you feel that you're just sitting lower, and I always like to see the Alcantara ceiling while driving. Here in the city, it's incredible really. The steering is super direct, also with a nice flattened end steering wheel, and it's already really a lot of fun to drive this car in the city, I can tell you. And it's not like with true sports cars, which I like on a single sports car platform. This one is still based on an upper mid-size segment car, and that's also count, that you can ride this car totally normal in everyday riding. Of course, if you're seeking more comfort, then you wouldn't go for the sports version, but that's a totally different story. But I really like the sports cars that are based on, let's say, normal car models, because you can use them for both purposes, and it won't harm you going to your sports club or going for grocery shopping, and you've seen the space there in the estate in the rear as well. And also just a lane change here inside the city with 50 kilometers an hour, that is already fun. And when you have this RS version here, it really feels like it would be a smaller car. It's really a huge car, come on, especially for like European or German roads and purposes. But it doesn't feel like that, because due to all those sporty features, they really make the car way more agile and sporty, and so it feels like you would almost steering a compact car, as the car is directly reacting on every one of your commands. Also very important by driving, what I've told you in the interior review is this car here feels like, say, a little bit classic, and I mean by that, all of the very new Audi models, they have this also very new approach to the interior. And here this one is like a rather classic one. Maybe some like that, maybe not. I, in general, I like new technologies, but I'm also not like #1 in being an early adopter. And so I also feel pretty much at home in this Audi surrounding here, and maybe someone else is also sharing that. We've shown you all of the interior. Always when you're driving, you also see the RS6 gauges here, the special ones that are highlighted, and that's also some kind of emotional factor. Well, you can drive it also at normal consumptions. 11 liters would be rather normal consumption of petrol on 100 kilometers. But if you have such a horsepower and just use it once per ride and hammer the throttle, then you already got the consumption totally boosted. We'll see what we have later on the Autobahn ride. We have straight Autobahn ride, we just let the car roll, but also really hammer the throttle very soon, and then let's see what consumption the car will gives out then. And realistic, when you also want to have fun, is surely like 15 liters. That's you can easily reach that. So, but no one will buy this car for saving fuel anyway. That's But as told you earlier, fuel saving is not the most crucial part of the of the environmental impact of the car. Here's more the seats. So now we're getting to our famous Autobahn part. first acceleration is coming, just a small one. Sometimes it's also, a safety factor to have a fast car. If, for example, someone's coming from behind and you want to get on the lane, just before the car, that sometimes might make sense, like here, and then just one hop at the throttle, and that's it. Wow. And what I also like about the sound is not totally exaggerated. It's a really sonore, refined sound with a low frequency, and that is, again, not, for example, like in a Jaguar F-Type, where we have this rolling. Here it's more like, I'm a big engine, I'm very refined, I have a lot of power. I do have a good sound, especially with this performance exhaust. But there's one point I can stop, I don't have to deliver more. That's, a funny approach. About safety systems, for example, we have a blind spot warning. So when someone's coming from behind, we will have a yellow warning sign at the mirrors. Also nice that you look at those contrasting mirrors. I can also set the adaptive cruise control. I can also see that in the head-up display now, and also in the lower part here, there's a green symbol. Then just the distance to the car in front of me is kept all the time, and I can also reduce the distance a little bit if I would like to. There the yellow sign now as the car was approaching from the left. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways I can reduce or increase the distance to the car in front of me, and that is also very relaxing. And now there's unlimited speed. Dynamic mode or something? What do you think? Comfort, dynamic. I think we should go. One more car will it pass, but I mean, soon they'll have to make way for us anyway. So there is also a difference in the dynamic mode. I'll show you it again. When I start in comfort, it's 150 now, and hammer the throttle, and just listen also as well. See, it took just a short while that the car was reacting, and because here in the dynamic mode, there's already, a gear lower, and therefore it needs less reaction times. Now again 120, and then I accelerate and feel, hear, and see how much faster the car is reacting then. Let's go. And that's 200. And if you look in the back mirror, there's no one left. Wow. And the sound is really that interesting. Also, there's the kind of, a little bit of a windy sound that you feel is coming from the lower part of the car. It's almost like you're in a jet. And it's like, wow, the afterburners activate and whew, you're gone. Wow. One more time maybe. We have some more space in front of us. What, 100 to 200 maybe. Let's see if we can do that. So 100 and go. And that's it, 200. Did anyone count? What's the 100 to 200 figure? So I think I told you earlier what was the 0 to 200 kilometers figure. I think it was like 12.3 seconds. So this one, 100 to 200, should be like, I think, my guess would have been now 5 seconds, something like that. 6. Tell me in the comments if you have counted in the time code. But really, and it's really so easy in this car. Also, I'm driving now with 170 kilometers an hour. The sound installation is superb. I don't have to raise my voice at all. And also when I'm just like doing slalom with 170 kilometers an hour, of course, just, a little bit, just to go sure, nothing happened. Car's really on rails, whatever I do, and feels so secure. Especially because it's a bigger car with a longer wheelbase and stuff, there's maybe, you know, there's hardly any other car that feels so safe, so secure, so well controlled at such high speeds. And even way better than any of those true brutal sports cars. This one here gives you so much sovereignty, and I think even a little bit better than, for example, an Audi A8 then again, or, you know, so the real upper class, because there you have even more weight, car is even bigger, and I think here it's still a little bit kind of a compromise. So you're not in the biggest car segment, but you're already very long as for the wheelbase, and that gives you very good running straight and command. Still don't have, you know, the highest weight yet, not the biggest car. I mean, from the outside, yeah, we got those sporty features, of course. If you see the exhaust from behind, then you realize, you know, there's something different with that car here. But other than that, I mean, oh, there's an A6 estate, some businessman on A6 estate, and when you hammer the throttle, it's like, what's happening here? It's like from another world. So, and that was also the same as we've reported to you in the S4 review, for example. Audi really has figured how to do this understatement cars a little bit. Of course, the exhaust pipe is not understated, but everything else is still a little bit, you know, in contrast to some other sporty car designs which are, you know, going all the way. And I like that, you know. I don't have to tell everyone like I have the biggest sports car in the world, but also here a refined way. This, by the way, now the sign is like 100 with the gray lines that says unlimited speed, and, you know, for petrol heads that's always a nice sign. Although, you know, I'm not a complete petrol head anymore. I'm maybe also now an electric head. That's I'm also used to driving electric cars now. And it's really like you just leave your throttle a little bit on your foot a little bit on the throttle, and you increase the speed so easily here that it happens like you know, instantaneously. And even at the highest speeds, for example, if I'm now at 140 kilometers an hour, and I push the throttle down, it almost goes to 7,000 RPM, and that's 210, and you feel it's not even close to, you know, what it's capable of. So this car can only be really used if you're on a racetrack, and someone that was bullying you from behind just recently, like some seconds ago, maybe saying, oh, I'm not sure if that was so useful if I bullied that guy, so, and he's gone. That's, well, I mean, I'm usually not in the, you know, in those Autobahn fights. I just say, okay, come on, let everyone else do some shitty games and, you know, too much danger and so. But I mean, sometimes if you have, you know, the possibility, if it's not dangerous, sometimes it's quite useful also to talk in their own language of those guys trying to bully you, just to show them, you know, they are not the greatest in the world. There's something else. Yeah, and the good thing is, you know, at any time, if you reduce the speed, the suspension is really way comfortable enough. And I think that's one of the greatest things that Audi has figured. They have one of the best driving dynamics at the moment. And Mercedes, for example, is still more into this comfortable ride. Yeah, of course, there are the AMG models which are stiffer, but I think Audi has it really handled very well, that you can combine sporty riding and comfort. So that's a nice thing. We can also use the shifting pedals here at any time. Shifting down, here or up again. So if you want some more manual control, just hold the right pedal again, hold for a few times and for a few seconds, and then you go into the auto mode back again. At least it should be. Strange. Car doesn't do it here. Not exactly sure. Maybe this feature was just included with the dual clutch transmission. In that case, use the central automatic shifter. Pull it once for the S mode or for the D mode. I can also go into the S mode, then I can even stress the dynamic mode. So S and dynamic mode would be the sportiest setup. that makes some more difference. Again, for example, now 130, let's go. But then, wow. So that made even more difference. And now braking from 200 to 100, I'm not even hammering the brakes. And that's it. You know, that was the braking process with maybe like a quarter of way of using the brake. So totally nothing for this car. Again, if I would really hammer the brakes, I think me and my cameraman would instantaneously get totally sick. But it's, you know, good to know it would still be possible to have this enormous braking power. So overall, I think it's probably the best Autobahn car ever. I think we can say that. There are hardly any possibilities you can really use the speed. Even in Germany, there's just like always like very short motorway parts where you can really do that. It's nice to have this serenity, but again, you know, already a normal Audi A6 offers you a lot of serenity and, you know, a very comfortable ride and driving fun. If you have the money to go for this very sporty version, you will, of course, be satisfied. Here, the performance version. Well, is there a big difference to the normal RS6? No. It's just like, you know, if you think I have enough money and I just always want the top of the line model, no matter, you know, what's connected by that, then it's the car. You can always, you know, also say, I save like 10 or 20,000 euros and just go for the RS6 without performance. And the question is really, if this here, the A6 generation, oh nice, when you're in S mode and dynamic mode and car shifting down, like, shifting down nice on as well. Should you wait then for the next generation? Well, this car is already that good. The infotainment stuff and interior will be cleaned up a little bit, new infotainment and stuff, but there's hardly too. There's not so much you can really improve with this car. Maybe with the material choice here, but other than that, well, maybe the screen here. This one here, as I told you earlier, this can still be retracted. You know, when we shut down the car or also like press this button, then we can always retract this screen here also when driving. Then you have also a nice clean atmosphere. It's a feature really a lot of guys appreciate it. Funny thing is also, even though we have 21-inch tires and our rims mounted, even in the S mode, in the dynamic mode, it's still possible to drive in the city without, you know, having lower back pain or saying, oh, every bump goes into my back. So that's still a very good job. And you know, I'm not exhausted at all with some very sporty cars. You're like, oh, adrenaline rush, so much speed, and I keep it tight, so much to handle. And it's the same, for example, I felt with when I was at the Nürburgring Nordschleife once with a Jaguar XFR, and also in comparison, for example, with the Jaguar XK, and especially the upper mid-size cars. Even if they're heavier, they give you so much sovereignty and calmness, even on the racetrack, that it's, you know, comfortable to ride a racetrack. And this year, I think, also accounts for the RS6 performance. So I hope you liked our insight here with the V8 and the fastest estate on Earth, unless, you know, maybe the all-new E-Class in its T model or estate version, when it comes as a C63, well, that one will again challenge this car then. But so far, I think you've just enjoyed a ride in the fastest and most expensive estate in the world. Hope you liked it, guys. And now the conclusion, Audi RS6 Avant Performance. So really a long name. And really, until the all-new E-Class comes with a C63 version, this year will, at the moment, remain the most expensive and the fastest estate there is on the market. And still, it is relatively comfortable. I think that's the big thing. You can use it in everyday riding. It has really a lot of space on the inside. It's a very sovereign car. And I mean, even if there's some parts of the infotainment maybe which is a little bit outdated, it's hardly anything you can really make even better with this car. So everything is really at a very high level. Just forget, just don't forget to get some Alcantara seats on the inside, especially for a performance car. I would have wished that this one is from serial equipment, definitely. Overall, exterior spectacular, but not too aggressive. Still has a little bit of understatement, even in the RS version. Interior, great refinement in the build quality, definitely, and also comfortable, reasonable loading space, and the driving. I mean, it's really the best Autobahn car there is at the moment, or surely among those ones. So really impressive driving features. And I want to hear your opinion on every aspect we have covered. And I think we'll also show you some other performance estates very soon. And of course, keep our eyes on the future for all the new car models. So tell us if you think the Autobahn riding part as well. And I think I'll see you at the next Autogefühl episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.